Welcome to part 2 of Behind the Mix series. I'm Josh West with Cellar Sound. Last week, we went through the first video in this 3-part series of just breaking down an entire mix I did for a live music video. If you haven't watched part 2 yet, definitely click up there and go watch that first. We went through strings and keys and all the effects and processing that I did on them for this song. And then in today's video is all about lead vocals. So I'm going to take you through my entire plugin chain, automation, reverb, settings, processing, everything. It's going to be awesome. But before we get into that, if you haven't yet, please go download my Ultimate Vocal Preset Bundle. If you're just starting and you're trying to figure out vocals and how to EQ them correctly and compress them correctly, this bundle is for you. It's over 30 presets for EQ, compression, and saturation, and a lot of stuff that I'm going to show you in this video today comes from those presets. So all those presets are for GarageBand, but everything that I'm doing in here you can do in GarageBand. So go grab that at www.cellarsound.co/free presets, or just click the link in the bio. All right, let's get into today's video all about lead vocals. All right, let's move down to the keys, and this is exactly what I did. I went right down down the line here on this mix. So we have the keys here. Let's listen to those. It's actually a really good sounding key. Let's move up here. This was a very, very good player that we had here. He played so well. It was very easy to mix because he had his piano set very well. So I've got my trusty Neutron here. Let's look at what we did. All right, so looks like I'm cutting some low end here. I have a couple notes. This 110 hertz just kept kind of poking out a little bit too much, and it was actually conflicting with the strings, and I didn't want that. I took down a bit of 300. I have a little bit here. 620, this was just another note that kind of kept popping up. And these two are on dynamic mode. So these are dynamic EQs here. So it was only happening at a certain threshold when he was really hitting hard, and I didn't want to overall make that change. So on both of these, whenever he really gets into it, these are just tucking it down just a tiny bit, just at these frequencies. And then I added some high end to it. I needed just a little bit of high end, 4K and above. We moved to the exciter. I'm doing a very similar thing I did with the strings. So 4K above, kind of same thing. I have this tube saturation, and I'm driving it pretty hard. A lot of times with these electric pianos, they don't have a lot of that really nice high end that you do with an acoustic piano that's just beautiful. That's what's kind of lacking there. So all this is doing is recreating those harmonics and those frequencies as he's playing really high up. Sounds really good. And then I just have some compression here. So this is just multi-band compression. I'm compressing the low end different than the high end, but both are low ratio. I felt like they were just attacking a little bit different, so I wanted to compress them separately. So I'm compressing 4K and above, which is that high end that we're doing with exciter and we're boosting, and then everything below I'm compressing that separately. And that's mainly because we added this exciter, and it sounded good, but I needed to just tame it down just a little bit. So let's just turn this off and listen one more time. And let's turn on this plugin. So all of a sudden that sounds like a mixed piano. Before, it would arguably that low end sounds really, really nice, but with the entire track in there, a lot of that low end was just getting lost, and it was actually messing with the strings, and so I had to tame that down and really make the keys have impact, especially whenever they needed to. Sounds good. And as you can see, I'm not sending any reverb at all from the keys. The keys they just didn't need it. Sometimes it's not good to put everything through reverb. Stuff can get lost, and there was so much kind of cool space in this track that it almost sounds like the keys have this kind of natural reverb when in fact they don't. All right, so that is the keys. Let's do vocals. Vocals is my favorite. So once I had this sound set, because to me in this track the strings and key relationship was so important that I really went there first, and I was like, okay, how is this is the vibe of the song, especially the strings, and so I needed to make those two elements work really well before I started vocals. A lot of times I'll do vocals first, but in this case I really wanted to make sure I had that foundation of my strings and keys, so that whenever I mixed my vocals I wasn't going to get incredibly far off and have to just keep going back and forth. Again, I was mixing this very, very quickly, and I needed to make decisions very fast. So that was the best way that I found to do that. So let's just look at the routing real quick. So I have these two lead vocals. I have a lot of plugins on here. I don't usually use, it kind of depends. A lot of times I don't usually use this many plugins. But this song, they were using these handheld wireless mics that obviously didn't sound like studio mics. We didn't record this in a nice, studio. And so I tried really hard to get those microphones to sound like, as best I could, that they were recorded in a studio. But at the same time, it's a live music video and they're singing into these handheld mics. I wanted to keep that element as well, that live element. So I used a lot of these plugins in very specific ways to achieve that, basically. So both these vocals are being sent to this vocal aux here, which is this guy. So I'm processing both of them individually, and then they're being sent to this aux, and then I have overall processing on them as well. Then I have a vocal reverb, I have a delay, and I have a slap. And these kind of come off and on, and we'll walk through that. So let's start with this first vocal here. It's a really good singer.
The Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you.
Cool, so really good performance. He's great. The biggest thing with him is he moves his mic a lot, and you can hear it. You can hear that movement. And if I had the time and the editing time, usually what I do is I go in and automate and make sure my vocal is consistent. In this case, I didn't, so I had to just go with it and go quick. So first thing I did is this first EQ. So I noticed there was some intense frequency content coming off of that mic in this kind of low mids, 160 and 253. I wanted to attack that really fast so that then I could make more artistic decisions on that mic. So let's hear a little before.
The Lord bless you.
And let's turn this on.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
Cool, so already the vocal just sounds a little bit more balanced on the frequency spectrum. So that's all this EQ is. I wanted to have that balance, just a little bit of that balance before I made my major EQ changes and decisions. So then we have my trusty SSL. Love this dude. I have, again, an 8K boost here. I'm also cutting some low end up to 91 hertz. Looks like I'm taking off a little bit of harsh frequency, 3.5K, just a tiny bit. Taking a little more of that low mid range at 280 hertz, and then I'm actually boosting a lot of 100 hertz. I have this bell on, so the especially when he was moving around a lot, the warmth wasn't really coming through so much, just because he didn't have just perfect, mic technique, I guess. So I was trying to get that warmth back into his vocal, and then we have some light compression here, 3-to-1. That's doing just a little bit, and let's just hear how this sounds. This makes a big difference.
The Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you.
Cool, so you can see here on this compressor, it's only hitting when he's really getting kind of out of hand. That's all I wanted. I just wanted a tiny bit of compression to just get those big attacks that he's doing, especially when he's moving his mic in really quick and then going away. So that's this plugin, super great. Then we have Virtual Mix Rack by Slate. This is a great set of plugins. I love this little virtual channel. This Brit 4K is sort of like an SSL kind of sound to me. And I'm driving it a little bit. And then this compressor is one of my favorite vocal compressors. I use it all the time. I just love how it reacts, especially for pop vocals. And I'm compressing him pretty hard, and then I'm actually using this output to sort of level him out. So again, I was doing this so fast. So I'm compressing pretty hard. You'll see it. And then I have a pretty fast attack. This plugin's attack is so quick that even this little notch here, it's still acting really quick. And then the fastest release here. I'm just going to turn this on so you can hear. It's going to be obviously a volume difference because he's going to come up, but you can get the idea of what's going on.
The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you.
So this guy's really, I love this dang compressor. This guy's really leveling him out, and you don't notice a lot of that movement, which is why I chose this compressor for that exact purpose. All right, then we have our Puy Child. I love this thing, Jack Joseph Puy. This thing is my favorite compressor. I use this on vocals every single time, and all this compressor is doing is it's just adding tone. There's something about this. You just turn it on, put it on a vocal, and it just comes out at you. It just comes up front, and it's just so nice. So this is barely, I didn't even change any of the settings. It's barely compressing. I mean, I'm really using it for the tone of it rather than actual compression. Let's hear a before and after this one.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
Okay.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
Yeah, so this just came forward. Really love this. And then the last thing on this vocal here is the Elosis de-esser. Or not Elosis, Eosis. I don't even know how to say this. I just realized I've never even thought about this, but however you say this, the de-esser, it comes with the slate bundle. This is my favorite de-esser. It's super smart. It just picks up a lot of those frequencies. It has a really nice little high-end boost here that I used. Just sounds really good, but it's just de-essing, so we can hear that.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
And this de-esser works so great because you barely, like I just turn it on, and usually I'll just change this amount, but it really keeps the high frequencies in a really good place. A lot of de-essers a lot of time are popping down those S's, but it changes the tone of the S, and I don't like that. And so this de-esser, gosh, it's so good. I recommend this all day. Cool. So that is that vocal. Let's hear a before and after of everything off, and then we'll turn everything on.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
All right, and let's turn this on.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
So big difference. His vocal came out, and it sounds like it was recorded on a really nice microphone. Super great. Okay, so let's move down to this next vocal. Another great singer. Let's go to maybe this section.
Amen. I bless you and keep you.
So I love this singer. She's so good, man. Just so good. Okay, let's run through this. So same thing. This looks kind of crazy, but I had a bigger issue with her vocal on this mic, mainly because she has a lot of information just naturally in her vocal in this like 100 to 500 range, and the mic brought that out way too much. So I'm kind of cutting a lot, but you'll hear a big difference. Let's turn this off.
Lord bless you and keep you.
Cool. So same thing. That made a big difference. Let's hear before and after just so you get the whole concept. This is before.
Lord bless you.
Sounds hollow, honky. And then this is with the plug-in on.
Lord bless you and keep you.
Awesome. Love it. Sounds good. All right, then we're going to our trusty SSL. You can see I did a very similar thing on both vocals. I really wanted the vocals to sound similar tone, and I'd really spent a little bit of time just kind of trying to match that. It was really important for this song. So same thing, I'm cutting some low end here. Then we're boosting some of this 8K again. I'm taking a little bit more out of her low end again, low mids at 280 hertz. And then nothing else happening here. And then some light compression, very similar to that first vocal. So let's just turn this on.
Lord bless you and keep you.
Sweet. So she has really good mic technique. She stays very consistent, and this compressor is just doing the same thing. It's just taking a little bit off of just those when she really gives it, just flattening it out a little bit. And all these compressors that I'm doing, you can see that I'm using 3 compressors, which seems like a lot, but using 3 compressors kind of mildly and for very specific reasons can achieve just such a better sound, especially when you're trying to get vocals to really pop through a mix. That way you're not just using one compressor and compressing the crap out of it and throwing it up there, because it's not going to sound natural, at least to my ears. So, all right, let's move on to same plugin. Love this. So kind of similar setting. Again, we're compressing quite a bit and then using this output just for my level. Let's just turn it on and hear it.
Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you.
Yeah, so you can even hear and see she's not hitting this super hard. And again, she had really good mic technique, so I didn't really need that with her as much as I did with the previous vocalist. So then we got a Pre-Child. This thing's awesome. You heard it before, and then we're just going to do this de-esser again. This de-esser is just awesome. She had a lot more high frequency information, so I'm cutting her a bit more than I did the guy. I mean, it's a girl, so it kind of makes sense. And then this last one is just this EQ. So I have a little dip again at 271. Once I got through everything, normally how I do this is I'll kind of listen to the vocal by itself and make some adjustments, but I like to play it with the track and make sure I'm just not super far off from the track. And so once I kind of got down this line and thought it was pretty good, it looks like I decided at some point, I went back to the vocal and was like, oh, I need to take a little bit more low mid out of her. And yes, I could have taken this band and put it on any of these other EQs and that would have been fine. But sometimes whenever I have my vocal done, I don't like to go back into it and make that adjustment, because if I just make it here on this EQ, I can just turn it off without having to think about it. If I'm just was inside my head and went back and was like, oh, I don't have to sit here and be like, okay, which EQ was it, this one or this one, and make that decision. So that's the only reason why I added another EQ at the end, is because just in case I needed to just bypass that, because I'm making the wrong decision. Okay, so let's just hear this whole vocal without any of these plugins, and we'll turn them all back on.
Lord bless you and keep you.
All right, let's turn all these back on.
Lord bless you and keep you.
So huge difference. She, again, doesn't fully sound like she's just on one of those wireless mics. I think it was some Sennheiser mic. All right, so those are the 2 vocals. And again, I tried to match their tone together. So let's just hear them on this part they're singing together.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Cool, so they're blending really well together. They have a very similar tone. One's not just out in some other world, and that is a big thing that I've really tried to accomplish. You can hear a little bit of mic movement that they've got there, which is fine. Okay, so now let's do some of my vocal aux. So I added another exciter. I use this so much. I love this Neutron Advanced. This is just taking that high end after I've got the de-esser where I want it and the vocals are in a good spot. Sometimes whenever I'm listening to the whole mix, I just need a little bit more of those just nice sizzly frequencies, and I wanted to create that with this. So let's listen with this on here.
Amen. Amen.
sounds really good. It just opens up and you have this nice airy sound. It's really good. Okay, and then last thing I did, is this. So this is another dynamic EQ. So when they were really pushing it, I felt in the mix they were getting harsh. So I turned this on. It's only cutting at -3, and just in this harsh frequency range when they would get a little bit too much. So yeah, let's listen to both of these off real quick, and then we'll turn it on. Let me skip ahead to this part.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, and let's turn this on.
Amen. Amen.
Beautiful. So that really just brought out that air, and it's really nice. So let's just talk about reverb now. So I have our vocals here. I have this first male vocal going to Vox verb and Vox delay, and then I have the second one going to verb delay and slap. And I think I automated, I automated a lot of this stuff. I have some level automation for the, what is this? The Vox verb. So there's a section when she gets really quiet right here.
Be upon you and 1,000.
So I really wanted that, all the effects to kind of go quieter at that section, but mostly everything's pretty much how it is. Let's go back to volume. And then, before we go into verbs, I have a little bit of automation here, just volume automation. Normally, I would do this on the aux, but I just didn't have time, and luckily, they were pretty consistent, especially her. So me raising these dBs a little bit didn't really affect the compressors too much, which was nice. Okay, so let's talk about vocal verb. I have this H verb. This thing's really, really good. I just like the sound of this. It's really natural. 3.5 seconds, and I have pre-delay is the most important thing to me in a reverb. It really creates the character of the room and the space, and it doesn't just make the vocal be all washy. And it kind of acts as a delay, sort of, so it gives it so much more depth. So I have this guy going, and then I also have an EQ. I cut 220 and below of all my low frequency content. I don't like, especially on vocals and almost anything, I don't like a lot of that low frequency information in the reverb. It just gets hard to balance. And then the high end, I have a lot taken out here. So 6K and above. So I wanted to sort of create what the room sounded like in a way, because I just remember that. Like, I remember taking my headphones off and just listening, and it just had this really nice tone to it, and you can hear it a lot in the mic. So I wanted to sort of match that tone, and that's what we're doing here. Let's hear just this reverb with both these vocals here. So you can really hear. Let's go to this.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, super good. You can hear it's kind of like a delay. There's a little delay in there, which is nice, and that's that pre-delay, and it just helps so much getting that good mix balance with the rest of the music there. All right, so then we have a vocal delay. Let's look at this guy. So this is my favorite delay. It's just H delay. I think I just tapped out what I wanted here. And then I've got some 202 and below all out. Same thing. Don't want any of that low end. And then same thing with this high end. I have 4K and above out. And then I did, I forgot about this. Yeah. I did this time adjuster here. I love this little plugin. It's just kind of fun to play with. It alters the time of the left and the right, so you can create this kind of cool, wide, spacey feel, especially with a delay. It's really fun to mess with. And I went more extreme than I normally do here. So the left is delayed by 4 samples. The right is 2,502 samples. Let's just hear how that sounds. We're going to need a part with it on there.
Lord bless you and keep you.
So you can hear it's doing this like spinny, whoops, hit the mic, doing this like spinny, whoa. It just sounds really cool. And it's not very loud. it's pretty low in the mix, but just creates this extra depth that's so nice. So let's hear the vocal, verb, and delay together here.
Lord bless you and keep you.
So you can hear the reverb is the main focus, and that delay is just sitting right underneath it. And yeah, super nice. All right, and then the last thing we got here is this slap. I love this slap. It's my my favorite. I typically always put my slap to 133. Basically have this preset set up, lo-fi, all that stuff, and it sounds really good. Normally I have these analogs off, because it just creates a bunch of extra noise. But again, I was in such a hurry that it probably didn't matter that much. And then it looks like I only have this on her vocal. So let's hear hers.
Amen.
Oh, maybe it's on the end.
Amen.
There it is.
Amen. Amen.
So again, this is low, and it's panned just slightly left, and it's only on her vocal, and it's mainly for these ending parts and her solos, but it's just to add a little bit of depth to all these effects. So let's hear everything on. Let's hear when they're singing together.
Amen. 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 Amen.
Really cool sounding effects right there. That's awesome. Gosh, so cool. Okay, so I want to play just what we have so far. So what we've listened to so far. So we're gonna do the strings, the keys, and those lead vocals.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Cool. So those are in a really good spot. Everything's sounding really nice and balanced. We're obviously missing a decent amount in the low end, which we're gonna get to here. That is part 2. Hope you enjoyed that. There was so much information in there, and so many things that you can definitely benefit from. Again, if you haven't downloaded it yet, go grab my Ultimate Vocal Presets bundle. This will totally fast track you into understanding how to EQ and compress vocals effectively. Even saturation is in there. And when you download this, it also comes with a free training video that just walks you through how to put these in your computer, and also how to manipulate them in the right way so that these presets will work for your vocals and ultimately work to mix them into your own songs. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Next week is part 3, and we're going to go through all of choir mics, and we're going to do a lot of tracks, and then we're going to do some final automation so I can show you what that looks like. See you next week for part 3.